Welcome to Headphones and Microphones. I'm your host, Neil Allesee. On the show today, we've got Willie Waldman. Willie's a trumpet player from, you might recognize him from everybody, from Snoop Dogg to Tupac to Coolio, to Joe Satriani to Grace Potter, and just about everything in between. What is up, Willie Waldman?
How you doing, Neil?
What is up? What is going on?
I am doing good here in our hometown, Port, Indiana. And going to do a little practicing today and have a chat with my good friend here from the hood.
Hey, appreciate you doing it. Hey, and before we get started, too, I'd like to shoot a little thanks out to Rich Woodrick back there, who's helping out with getting you all set up and with the microphones. And oh, there he is. What's up, man?
There he is, Rich Woodrick, part of the LaPorte crew here, man.
Yeah, the infamous.
Representing the LBC.
Yeah, there it is. So appreciate you, Rich, man.
LPC, we're representing the LPC, man.
Yeah. Well, good to see you guys. So, yeah, like I was saying in the intro there, you've basically played with about everybody in the world, it seems. In the list, every time I talk to you, it seems like we got some more stuff going on. But and before we jump in, I'd like to let everybody know if you guys want to get some lessons. I mean, Willie's obviously played with everybody. He's got some serious some knowledge behind him. So if you guys see the bottom of the screen here, he's got the Facebook link here, and then you can hit him up there. You can he said you can give him a call, too, if you want. So
323-371-0500. So who taught me was Dr. Herman Green in Memphis, Tennessee, who played with John Coltrane, Isaac Hayes. So I started trumpet over here in Little Chesterton, Indiana, taking lessons in Valpo and Wanata. And then Chesterton High School, class 83, we were the state national champs. And then I went to Memphis State University on a music scholarship. So I was, I was pretty messed up on Beale Street at 19 years old and jumped on Albert King's stage with Herman Green and them. I basically had two choices, lessons or get my butt beat, tripping on doses, basically tripping on doses on Beale Street, jumping up on Club Handy in Beale Street. So I got to play with Jimmy Vaughn on his Grammy winner on 203 with Herman, but I got a lot of really cool, simplified, complex music theory things.
Hell yeah. Well, I appreciate every once in a while you'll post some of your stuff on your Facebook page, some of the scales you're working on. Well, since we're
going there, one of the greatest tricks, at least for us on trumpet, is like noodling around on any tune. You're going to find a tonic or fifth, right? Stevie Ray Vaughan said. And then he goes, all your extensions, your 7, 9, 11 is just a step down. So if you're playing in the key of A, do a G chord. And that really saved my skin on trumpet because, on trumpet trying to think, what's my 7, 9, 11, and 13 in the key of any key was a pain in the, like, what's that? But, just find your center and go down a step. And then you do that with half steps. And the half step's the real move, the tritone, the.
Yeah, man, you always got all the cool scales you riff on. I had the song we introed today with was actually you wailing on that one. I did that with you like probably 6-7 years ago.
Well, to keep some of that stuff going, so you had to learn all your major scales and then superimpose them. So an Albert King move would be an A minor, do F major 7 over A minor, right? And that's just messing with the major minor stuff. But my real trick is the Persian scale, which is half diminished. And for you guitar guys, it's half step, whole step, half step, whole step. But the beauty of it, now it took me a long time to learn it because I had to write the fingerings out and start little quarter note, half notes. But it covers major and minor thirds in several keys. So here now we can play on especially major outside is tricky, right? Everybody, it's easy to play outside on minor, throw a couple bad notes in, which is fine too. But here's Persian.
That's got a cool sound to it.
It's got a cool sound to it, but it's basically a pattern. you know, and then we can get into Egyptian scales, which to make them simple is add a half step on your major, a flat 9, you could call it, or a half step up where you're going. Right there is your move. Your outside move is that half step up on your tonic. So we got into a lot of that stuff.
And you learned most of this when you were in Memphis, you're saying?
Yeah, Memphis, yeah. From Herman Green, who's now 90 years old. And, yeah, they simplified complex things. Like I could put you in the college books, and they got all these crazy names for everything. And
well, I remember having a convo. I had a convo with you a long time ago about how when you were playing in Chesterton, you weren't the best trumpet player there, and you didn't practice as much, and so it kind of shows.
Well, I practiced a lot. I could just read music, so that was a hard thing for us guys. Was just a jam, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of high notes, and I played second chair and everything, but you know, to play by ear, us guys trained to read music. You know, you're trained to see the music. So when I first got to play with guys like you, Neil, I had to learn all my major scales and sharp keys. You know, so for me, a lot of it's fingering. Once I know I got 4 sharps over F sharp, or it doesn't matter where I'm superimposing it. You know what I mean? Just because I say I'm playing E major doesn't mean I'm playing it over E, right? I could be playing it over B or F sharp or D sharp, but that saved my butt. You know what I mean? Because I do ha right here, and then I'd find me a couple safe notes, and then you can play slop between them. You know, ba ba da ba ba da, slop 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 ba da. You know what I mean? And I just kept practicing. That was the real key. I started practicing a lot. Still practice a lot.
So you jumped up on stage with Albert King. Then the pressure was on. So was that? Did the practice pay off then? Or
no, I made an idiot out of myself. You know, I went up in there all marching band, Chesterton, Indiana, goofball. You can imagine. So you know, I was like, son, you're gonna come to my house every Wednesday. And you're going to bring $40 and a sack of weed because you guys get that good weed, you know. and then we got into diminished, you know, but we started with the major and the modes. And then a lot of it I did was over and over and over exercises of patterns of. You know, and then other ones of. You know, what I mean? Lots of different patterns that, God, it took me years to get, years and years. So I don't really get it together till about 30. You know,
and so, were you still in Memphis at this time?
Yeah, I didn't go to Los Angeles until I was 25, so it'd be 92. And the first thing I got on was Sublime Date Rape. My partner Dave Aaron and I interned at Sun Records, and Dave got to work on Shake, Rattle, and Hum U2. I got a little newspaper article, but I was always the sandwich guy assistant to Dave Aaron, who was really famous, my partner.
Yeah.
But the key then was to hang out. See, I got on all these big songs hanging out. You know, nobody was just calling you for a horn part. You know, you basically hang out at the studio with these guys, and after people get to know you, then they'd find 15 minutes for you. And then, you know, so basically, so we went to Los Angeles in around 92. I went painting boats in Venice where you lived.
So you and Dave moved out together then?
He went out first, and I came right behind him. So he calls me up somewhere in 93 there and goes, they're doing horns in Death Row. So I jump on a Greyhound bus here from Westville, Indiana. I was a beekeeper over here at Anderson's Orchard. I sold a bunch of honey, and we took, you know, I went out there. So I get to go right into Death Row, Dogfather Snoop Dogg record. And, of course, a couple days in, who the hell are you, you know? What do you do? Oh, you play trumpet. Oh, shit, you're up to bat, dude, you know? So, you know, I was smart. The Vapor Song Dogfather record back there.
Yeah, I was going to ask which one that is. Yeah.
All right, so my first part was I asked Snoop, what does he want? Rap, 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 rap. You know, and then at the end of it,
Mm-hmm.
so I doubled the part. So in those days, we would play all the way through the song, but I at least get my count off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ba ba da da. And then I kind of set it like classical music. You want to play the same volume. And what impressed me with Tupac and Snoop is they would freestyle this rap, complete story with different holes for different characters. And they would double and triple it pretty much on the money. Meaning they remembered what they did, which was pretty impressive. Me, I'm keeping my stuff short, you know.
Yeah.
Snoop, what do you want? Da 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 da. The famous California Love Tupac song. Ba ba da. And then I just made a big stack of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Stack of it. But that's all it is da da da. So here's a part that any high school kid could play, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing too fancy here. And then I got on a roll doing a bunch of it. But then again, still a lot of hanging out. You know what I mean? And then a lot of parts would be invisible, I'd call it. You know, we put a little mute in. And of course, I'm in the back. You know what I mean? Hiding in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a Nate Dogg Soon My World. But, you know, a little. You know, just a little
absolutely.
pretty and sparse. Didn't want to do too much on that stuff. So anytime I'd solo a lot, slow your roll, Chuck Mangione. Slow your roll, Chuck Mangione.
Yeah.
And so eventually Snoop told me to have my own Chuck Mangione band. And that's how, when the murders went down, we got in. I met Perry Farrell at a party up in the Hollywood Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Aaron and I had a big house right above the Wonderland murders, the John Holmes Wonderland murders, right up from where they did the doors and everything in Laurel Canyon. And we didn't know it was Perry Farrell, but we met Perry Farrell one night, and we got on the Song Yet to Be Sung album. And that's kind of when all the murders went down. And of course, Death Row kind of shut down. You know, everything kind of shut down at that point. And
so here's a picture right here on the screen. That's you and Snoop, that's you and Snoop right there. Basically, he was he's the one that kind of inspired you to start the Willie Waldman project then?
Yeah, and I got the improv from those guys. They made everything up, I swear. Like, was the most impressive about the whole thing was they didn't come in there with a bunch of preconceived ideas. They really didn't. Guys would start with their little MPC 60 and just start a little beat up Daz would, you know, and then add a hi-hat and then a little keyboard bass. But it was awesome. It was the most creative thing. And they weren't too picky either, you know, so they let it kind of take a life of itself. And here we're doing 3 songs a day. So I just thought that was awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kept the improv thing going, you know, with the improv, because nobody else was doing it. Now, it never really took off like I liked it. Of course, managers hated the concept and blah, blah. But so I met Stephen Perkins, Jane's Addiction drummer, and Perry Farrell eliminates him with a drum machine. And the studio was on Abbot Kinney in Venice. Perry Farrell had a big studio over there, right on Abbot Kinney off the Venice Boulevard thing, right? And so we said, hell with the singer. Let's do an all-improv band with the drums as the lead. And really, with that stuff, you almost need the drummer to be the lead of that stuff.
Yeah, well,
the improv.
what a perfect guy to be. You know, tons of energy and just a great drummer.
At that point, we were all deadheads. So, of course, I saw 100 Dead shows when Jerry was alive.
Well, hold on. Speaking of that, what is this we got here right in front of us?
Well, Bob Weir's got to go to his house and work on Sarah Wasserman's demo. This was a dream come true.
And that's what we're looking at right here.
The tapes back there, see the tapes back there? Those were the master tapes to Terrapin Station and Anthem of the Sun. And, I mean, the real 2-inch masters, right? I mean, he was the coolest. Bob Weir was the coolest. I swear.
And for those of you that don't know, that's Dave Aaron off to the side next to you right there, too.
Now, he did pass a year ago from a terrible autoimmune system disease. But anyway, so I called Rob Wasserman to do the Banyan record. And the next thing you know is hey, Uncle Bobby wants to record Sarah, and you guys can come up to his house. We're like, oh my God, you know what I mean? This is too much, you know? So we spent a week at Bob Weir's house.
And that's where this picture was taken?
Yeah, that's his backyard. That is at his house, and it's up in Mill Valley. He goes up the little mountain there, and he had like a garage. And this is the studio where they practiced and wrote a lot. And so he had some great stories, of course. You know, one of them that stuck in my head was always to have fun when you play, you know? Mm-hmm. And he was a chord genius. So I would say now, here's the next one on some of that stuff I was doing with the, like, go down a half step or up a step. He had his own take on it, which was kind of genius. He said, when you're playing a major chord voicing, put two notes together. Now, I'm not a guitar player, but that would be a sus or a ninth or a seventh, correct, Neil?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, anyway, he would say take your 1, 3, 5 and add the fourth or the sixth or one of them, but experiment with putting two notes close together. And his real idol was McCoy Tyner, the famous jazz pianist, which is famous for cluster chords. So he's a chord genius in my book. And where he's light years above a lot of the Dead bands is that it's real easy to get trapped in just this major chord thing on the Dead stuff, right?
Yeah. Firing them out in A and G for 6 hours, or something like that.
Bump, bump, bump. Right, exactly, right? So the real magical trick is this little invisible sus note he's adding in there that doesn't take away from that, but it opens the door for the Jerry Garcias or me as a soloist to start playing diminished, augmented, and all the fancy stuff and not be trapped in a major scale, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Or otherwise you're really pinned into that major scale, right? And so it opens the door to some alternative stuff. And then that's its own thing that we got into where Jerry was working around one note and fractaling out on the other side, meaning like A is the common note to A, G, D chord, but then he's doing the D flat, the A flat, the F sharp chords on the other side of the cycle of fifths. Mm-hmm. And when you hear the old tapes, you can hear him making these moves. And of course, nobody's doing that these days, you know? So be honest, I think they're a little lost without Jerry, at least harmonically, because he was light years away ahead of everybody on some of these things, but just a music theory genius. And then we have one picture in that bunch. We had the not the Dalai Lama, but the guy right under it there. You know, it was nuts. And of course, he hates Mickey Hart. But Mickey Hart's dad ripped him off in '74. And I hear that story from his dad at dinner. You know, oh, Mickey Hart's dad in '74 ripped the boys off, and I had to pay all the rent at the Haight-Ashbury place in '74 and '5, and then I already made $4 million. I mean, it was great. I'm out of Indiana, and he's just like a mechanic, so I get this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why'd you let Mickey Hart back? He's like, that cocksucker Jerry let him back in the band. Damn it, you know. But that's the funny stuff. Did get to play with Phil once in Telstar at 206, Mickey Hart, Canal Street, New York. Everybody but Jerry, too bad. How about that?
Yeah, it is too bad.
But when I was first learning, interesting thing was to get my 5 and 6 sharps down, I would play Cassidy and Let It Grow, a couple of the Dead tunes, you know, because I was a little deadhead. You know, for me, that was like 5 or 6 sharps, right? So starting out, kid. Ooh, you know, I had to get the 5 and 6 and 7 sharps under my fingers to play with you guitar guys, you know?
Yeah. Well, I always enjoyed jamming with you just because you play some cool licks that generally most guitar players don't play. So it lets me, especially when we go back and forth trading off.
Yeah, fun.
You start playing some stuff you wouldn't normally play, and that's and the other thing is your Willie Waldman stuff's all improv. So it's just,
but that's the whole point because I didn't want to. That was another lesson in Memphis was not to copycat. And even Bob Weir was into that, right? Mm-hmm. You know, it's silly if I copycat what you guys do, right? As the guitarist. And again, what's easy for you guys is hard for us, and vice versa. How's that? Yep. Vice versa, right? Like big jumps and high notes and stuff like that's hard for me. A big jump meaning, you know, stuff like that's hard. You know.
Yeah.
But it's kind of fun because you don't want to all be the same, right? So you're right. When we start having a conversation and you're a little different, and here I got this move, and then you got that move.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the fun part about the fun part about the project is having not just the same bunch all the time. It's letting some new
and so
people
that
in.
Yeah, some of the people that maybe don't know the Willie Waldman project, it seems like whenever you're touring around, you kind of have some of the same musicians, but it's kind of per area. So you go to Denver, you might be jamming with the same guys there. You go to, that way you don't need to pay for the band, I guess, too, traveling with you, too. There's a couple of benefits.
I mean, the wages have been shrinking since the 80s.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but that is it. But I heard that trick from the jazz guys.
Mm-hmm.
In the Coltrane days, they would go around, Miles even, and they would pick up the band in the city. So Herman was famous for running this place, the Blackhawk in San Francisco in the early 60s, my teacher. And Miles Davis and all those guys would come, and they would just come by themselves, right? They would use the house guys, in the bebop stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really tour with the same guys, you know what I mean? So, again, when those guys would start moving around, they would just bring themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and pick up guys locally. But I do like, and another thing is I felt like a lot of famous people wouldn't play with me until I had all these Tupac credits and stuff. And I wanted to open up the door for everybody. Like all these wonderful museums. Yeah, I'm from Westville, Indiana too.
Mm-hmm.
I just, what I'm getting at, there was a lot of that. You saw that in LA. There's a lot of that these guys think they're the Holy Grail, half of them ain't done nothing,
Yep. And so once you started jamming with those guys, that's when you started picking up the session work, or did you start doing kind of the session work right away? No, that was
before. Session work was before, and the jamming happened after the Tupac murder. So we had about 5 or 6 years there where we didn't even leave the studio in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. And
that's Dave Aaron was working every day. Yeah, and that's when I got on the Wu-Tang Clan and the TLC and just a lot of stuff. And then a lot of stuff we don't even remember because a lot of it isn't used.
Yeah.
See, a lot of times you do a part. I got union contracts here, doesn't get used. Half the time they never give you a credit in the horn department. Nobody ever believes you. You know what I mean? So after a while, I just like, whatever, give me my $250. You know what I mean? But we
did
got
a bunch of movies and you did TV shows.
Yeah, we did a lot of
that.
I'm using a guy. So I did one of the Batman movies back in the union and through the Musicians Union. I met John Avila.
Mm-hmm.
And he's famous now for doing Lucas Nelson, Lady Gaga, but he's Danny Elfman, who did all the Batman, Spider-Man, and Battlestar Galactica. Mm-hmm. He's co-producer in Oingo Boingo. And so I went to big orchestra thing, and I'm like, man, I got to meet this bass player. Boy, he's badass. So I met John Avila. I think you played with him.
Yeah, I think so.
And 202. Now, again, a jam band, people don't know who he really is, but how's this? I was helping him build a roof on his house, and Roger Daltrey, the Who, walked up doing a string section in his backyard. And I brought him out here to Little Turtle Fest when I did the Little Turtle Fest over there in Porter County. Of course, nobody really knows who he is, but he's now a 5-time Grammy winner. He's won 2 Oscars.
You guys still jam, right?
Yeah.
Well,
my keyboard player on trumpet, right, Greg Kurstin, the sickest jazz pianist you ever heard, he's now a 7-time Grammy winner. He just did the Elton John Oscar-winning tune. Mm-hmm. He did Adele. He did the Foo Fighters album. He's done Paul McCartney. But anyway, in 204, he got a gig with Britney Spears, and we're all laughing at him. Here's our geeky little keyboard player, Kurstin,
mm-hmm.
who is very, very good.
Wait, is that Brian? Is that who that is?
No, it's Greg Kurstin.
Okay, all right,
but he's super famous, and he started as a really good jazz pianist in Los Angeles in the 90s, and so he was my original guy in the project. And I don't know, about 204, he started messing with Pink and Britney Spears, and then Beck, and then he got into and then it started growing, And at first we all thought, Kelly Clarkson, this goofy crap. And boy, next thing you know, it's Taylor Swift and all of them, Katy Perry, and then he won the big Grammy with Adele, and and he's probably the biggest guy out of the project. I would say is the biggest, most famous guy is Greg Kurstin. Next is going to be Avila. Then we get into Stephen Perkins, Jane's Addiction. But I've had some pretty famous guys come out of that thing. But it's interesting, like in 203, when I first did summer camp, they wouldn't let me bring them. I had to use Mullets, Steve Mullets, a Particle, or Joel. You know, they wouldn't give this guy Kurstin the time of day in the jam band scene.
Really?
So, no. Oh,
And
I've had a couple
you think
guys
it was just
that
because of the Britney Spears and all that shit?
no, yeah, and they're also cocky. Yeah, because he did the Britney Spears and, oh, he's just some pop dude. You know, there's a lot of, if all the things I've been in, the most elitist, uncool would be the jam band scene, I would say, where they're mean. Where they're mean to everybody and they belittle people and not getting into names of bands, but guys that really haven't sold trillions of records think they're God, and you know, oh, how'd you do, Evil Snoop Dogg, and you know what I mean? Oh my God, you sold out, you're doing American Idol and blah blah, you know what I mean? And you know when you're out there, you don't know what's gonna hit you. I didn't never dream I was gonna do Snoop Dogg or him, Britney Spears. You take the gig, you know what I mean, right?
For sure.
You take the gig. And in a weird way, they usually wind up being pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
and normally lead to other gigs as well too.
Yeah, and then let's see. Through all my Los Angeles adventures, I met Norwood Fisher of Fishbone, and of course we had a band Trulio Disgracious. Did you ever mess with that down there in Venice?
Oh no, I don't think so.
Oh, 20 people, $20 a man. You know, Fleetwood playing it. You know. 3 keyboardists, you know, I called it the Funk Army, you know.
Venice is not a good spot to go if you want to start rolling in the money in a band with a band. That's for
no,
sure.
I had to get out of there. So you're right. So we did about 2 years in Venice, but once we got kicking, we moved up to Hollywood, up to like Whitset and Magnolia in North Hollywood because we were working at Track Record Studio a lot. And then to the Hollywood Hills. But yeah, we learned the hard way that Venice wasn't kicking too much, and it was hard to get over to where the action was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a cool spot to live in, but it's just it's not really the spot to be rolling in the music.
No, and really out there, you just want to hang in the studios and wait for your little spot. You know? See, that's what
helped with you knowing Dave, I think, is you guys, you know, because he owned that studio, right?
At the end he did, but he was super famous. You know, like I said, we came out of college with a U2 credit, then into a Prince credit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, Dave was a big deal. So Dave Aaron was a big deal, and I'd hang out with him. You know what I'm saying? And hanging was the key. And then when I got with Perkins, that kind of stuff was going on. You know, Taylor Hawkins was coming over to jam, Tony Franklin. You know, the guys from Megadeth, you know, Chris Poland and, all those heavy metal guys, you know what I mean? Trujillo from Metallica, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and,
I think he might live in Venice there too.
Yeah, he lived in Venice, but him and Perkins had a band called Infectious Grooves. Now, I didn't get on any of the records, but I sure played on a couple of gigs. You know, because it was basically a metal funk thing.
What year did you start Banyan?
98, 97. So, again, it's right at the Tupac murder. So, the murder of Tupac was, 97? So, right there. And the real big death row shit was 94, 95, 96. And really, when the Tupac murders went, that was that. You know what I mean? And then we popped into Perry Farrell. Now, Dave kept working with Snoop Dogg and toured the world with him 13 times.
He was running sound or something, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was always Snoop's engineer. So what happened is, like, Snoop's engineer was Dave Aaron. Now, Tommy D, who I'm doing the summer camp security guard, Ian Goldberg at summer camp's got a rapper coming out next week. He's executive producing, and I'm bringing him to Tommy D. Tommy D's a white guy from Cedar Rapids that was Tupac's engineer. So Tommy D was the guy that really got screwed when Pac got murdered. You know, Dave kept his job, but Tommy D was out of luck. So we put him into roadieing for Banyan. He was the drum tech. You know what I mean? I let him play bass. You know what I mean? He was the guy that was really kind of screwed in that deal. Then I just went into Banyan. You know what I mean? And then I still messed with Dave. How's this? I think the next major rap record I did was the East Siders Snoop Dogg, which would be 201. But there was definitely a good 2 years there where I at least stayed out of it because it was pretty heavy in that the whole murder thing. You know, there was a lot more than just Tupac getting murdered. So you know,
and so one thing I know, you know, Rich is there with you. I know a lot of you know, when you're playing a lot and stuff, it's always good to break out and get away and do some stuff. So you guys did a lot of, like, you know, is that Here's a cool picture.
That was part of it.
This is one of my favorite pictures I saw right here.
I took the band in the beginning. So there was a fest up north, 10,000 Lakes, right? So it was my part of the Willie Waldman Project Banyan thing was that all of us to get out of the studio and go to cool places with no manager telling us what to do, you know?
Yeah.
So Rich came at the end and made these wonderful videos, but the first ones were around 2004-05. And it was hilarious. We do these music fests, and I took the band, right? I made the band go on a 50-mile canoe trip. You're going to crack up. My black drummer, Terry Saffold, the works. And it was hilarious, man. We jammed with a Bigfoot up there. It was rocking logs and 5. I rocked and jammed with every bird on the planet. We brought a trumpet and a guitar, you know, and the campfire jams, yeah. And the delays on the lakes. There's Norton Wisdom, Quint from Banyan. So I took the band. There's JD from the Rumpke Mountain Boys. That's JD.
You. That's you.
Oh, that's me. But I've had a lot of musicians out with me. Let's see, J.D. Westmoreland, Norton Wisdom, the painter, Clint Wagner,
Tony Austin.
Yeah,
Tony Austin.
You have a picture book at your house. We were looking through, and there's tons of pictures in that one too. With a bunch of people.
This black drummer, Tony Austin, who does Kendrick Lamar and Kamasi, Washington. It's hilarious, man. I took him canoeing. It was 3 days of straight rain. You'd crack up Allesee. I don't let them escape. They get it hard. They get LaPorte, Indiana hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I usually bring Rich and a couple of Port guys. How much fun that is. You know?
Yeah. No, those. Yeah, it looks like a good time. I mean, 50
so
miles.
So you're coming this year, right? You're coming this year?
Hey, yeah, especially if this is the gig rate, then definitely.
You know, we get free canoes out of a guy who plays in a country band up north. Bill Hansen has a really good bluegrass band. And see, I like all music. That's another thing. Just because I play trumpet, I like all the country and the bluegrass. Mm-hmm. I mean, people have made it too stigmatized with like, you can't play a bluegrass, you're a trumpet, you know? You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Why am I cursed not to play on a country tune just because I'm on trumpet? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, they don't have no trumpet on no country tune. Anyway, this guy owns a canoe outfitter up there. We get free canoes, so it's great.
Yeah, and, man, it looks like a crazy good time, but that's no joke, man. 50 miles is a lot of riding.
And we've done 75 a couple times, and they hate me for those. And get out and drive to, like, actually, we used to leave summer camp on that one there. We left summer camp. We played summer camp, drove to the Canadian border, canoed, and then hit 10,000 Lakes. So that's a 500-mile drive, then canoe 70 miles, and then drive and play gigs.
Damn. Yeah, well, shit, man, it's good to get a little break, and if you're staring at this stuff, it makes it a lot easier.
It's gorgeous up there, but it is gorgeous. That's my marching band trumpet in case I lose it, right?
Carry that around.
Yeah, and I'm bringing the good one here. But it is really a special place. I love Duluth. So one of the first places so I had a record deal on Rhombus Records, Trumpet Ride, and my friend Mark Reaney does jazz promotion, radio promotion for Blue Note Records. So he had me do a thing up in Duluth, Minnesota, radio station KUMD. I went up there and I thought, what a cool place. So I kept hearing about this canoeing, and I was a Boy Scout as a kid in Chesterton. Let's see, Troop 908, you know. So I'm like, man, this looks awful cool. I like canoeing, you know. So finally, I started firing up these canoe trips. I was like, hell yeah. Now, let's see, I backpacked 42 miles in Yellowstone last year after my Park City, Utah, and Jackson Hole, Wyoming gigs. And let's see, I've backpacked all of Zion National Park after gigs at the Bit and Spur down there. And climbed a couple 14,000-foot peaks in Colorado, and loved the ski tour. So,
yeah, that's awesome way to be able to break it up, the monotony of jamming, and it's a cool way to bond with your bandmates too. You know, when you're out cruising and camping together.
Well, Neil, you've been there. It's tough that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday thing. You know, I mean, if you got your good money gigs on the weekend, right? And it's even gotten harder lately. But it's tough. So, sometimes you got 2 great weekend gigs and you got nothing to do in the middle. So if you're up there in Minnesota or anywhere really, it's a good move. Say you're in Denver. and you got a great Denver weekend, and you got a great Salt Lake weekend, and you got nothing going on in between, man, go get lost up in the woods, or play
absolutely.
the Steamboat gig on a Thursday and go camping for a couple days and come into it. You know,
well, and it's a pretty good way to save some money while you're, you're saving on the hotel and all that shit too. So the camping, it'll save you some money, and it's a lot better way to really see the country.
I
too.
think you go through about a handle a day, everybody, and the camp cocktails is what? Swiss Miss and whiskey with one camp cocktail. Then the other Willie cocktail is your vodka and lemonade, and then Tang. Got to get Tang.
Hey, they asked you
that's
style.
your cheap orange juice. And then you have lots of booze. So why don't you carry lots of booze,
Yeah.
And then some smokes and trips, and you're good to go, man.
and play a couple gigs in between.
And then you see UFOs on the Indian pictographs, and nobody believes you, except for when I have to ask Rich and these guys. Yeah, man.
Yeah, you're going to have Rich bring out one of his nice little cameras.
Dude, we jammed with a Bigfoot, and then the footage all got erased, didn't it, Rich?
Yeah, so magically the camera shut off right as that started happening.
Yeah, we jammed with a Bigfoot. That we were jamming, and I had Terry Saffold, black drummer from Isaac Hayes, when he goes, "What's that going? 2, 3, 4, 5," and the thing was beating 5 every time with like telephone poles. We're not talking little sticks. We're talking like, you could tell it was like 10-inch round shit, like huge trees. Boom, 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 and then you heard the monkey squeals. Whoop, whoop. Whistling shit, and it sounded like you were in the zoo, man. And the stuff got closer and closer, and then when the 80-pound rocks start flying through camp, it got interesting then. Damn. So with no guns, the Indiana boys weren't too happy with me, Neil, when I didn't let them bring their machine guns, right? so it was like, here's your hatchet, here's a knife, poke it in the nose, and then of course I told Terry Mrs. Bigfoot was gonna hijack him, and he never went again,
Hey, so I know you've got kind of the few states, it seems like now is what you kind of follow. You do seems like Minnesota, Utah, and Denver for sure.
Yeah, I like the Utah, Jackson Hole, Sun Valley Circle. I like my San Francisco, just a little north. And I do the San Diego, LA run, and then I run around Memphis some, and then I got a nice Buffalo, New York thing. I don't know if right now to bust out new territory is tough, new territory is tough. Mm-hmm. And having been ripped off some, I got nice cozy spots to do that I'm sticking to. But I'm always game, Neil, if you want to start hitting new territory.
Hey, there you go.
We'll bring the camp stove, and we do some guerrilla warfare, I call it, door gig to door gig to door gig.
Hey, there you go.
You know who does
Rich
that?
To film it.
You bust your butt. So does Jake Willis. That guy's tough. That Jake Willis.
Yeah, man. You got to do what you got to do. Just staying busy.
You guys have an advantage a little
nobody's
bit.
Busy now, so we're all just.
Yeah, but the nice thing you guys have that I don't have is you guys can go out by yourself and do a great job. Mm-hmm. I saw you up at the bar. What was it, Porter? We went and saw him. Yeah, man, you sounded great on your. On your own. Meaning you didn't have to have drums and bass. I can sit here and play by myself, but it's not the same. You know what I mean? Kind of need to. And then
it's fine for like a wedding or some shit like that, but it's not gonna, you don't play the bar scene like.
So I guess my main thing, it's about money, because I could hit all these strange territories, but I'm making real good money, and if I'm squeezing $1,000 a week pay out of my little spots, I guess I've gotten old, cozy, and comfortable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I should open up some new hoods, so I'm down this year.
Yeah, for sure. And then, like I said, the link underneath here, you can hit him up there and get some lessons from him, get him on a track.
Call me at 323-371-0500.
Hey, there you go. There it is. That's probably the best way, to be honest.
Yeah,
and then don't even text him. Just give him a call.
Yep, I'm going to answer the phone. But you can Facebook message me, and I answer them.
Yeah, cool.
But I do like the old call.
Yeah, me too. You can get the answer a lot quicker. But what about – so a lot of people – it's funny. We got this picture here of you when you were on 60 Minutes smoking some weed out of a trumpet or something there.
All right, well, this one goes back to the Jane's Addiction days. We went and played – Banyan and the guy that went canoeing with me, Clint, on the videos. We went and played Amsterdam with Stephen Perkins, Jane's Addiction, and also on the bill was Steve Smith, The Journey. Had his little jazz band. So Perkins has this guy named Adam Dunn who does all the cannabis cups, and he was the guy with the Amsterdam Seed Bank.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy picks us up in this killer barge and takes us all over Amsterdam and takes our gear to the gig on a barge.
Nice. So
we made buddies with him. So of course this guy wants the Snoop Dogg hookup. So I call Snoop to Dave and go, "What's this going to take?" $5,000 in a paper sack. So on top of it, so they get Snoop to do the Amsterdam Cannabis Cup like 203. They give him a bulletproof trench coat hemp coat. A hemp coat that's bulletproof. Oh, man. Dude, the rappers, everybody wanted one. You know, Ghostface and Wu-Tang. RZA wanted one. DJ Pooh. So anyway, I hook up Vincent Collins and Adam Dunn with all the hip-hop guys. And eventually they made a deal to sell Snoop Dogg papers. And I had a kid named Noah who we got an internship out at Snoop's, who now runs the Snoop Dogg Grow, which is like a Chevy car factory.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is that guy who put that party on, that's whose kid I'm mixing this weekend in Los Angeles at the band Tool studio with John Avila.
Oh, awesome.
And he's been telling me about his kids for, I don't know, the last couple of years. So I always do their Cannabis Cup parties. So when legalization went down, there was a big party these guys hosted Adam Dunn in Denver. And the governor's there and Lennox Lewis and everybody. So here I am. My mom was hot, too, in the Laporte. My mom was not happy, folks.
Well, what's funny was I don't watch 60 Minutes too often, but I was watching and all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute, that's Willie. And I wish we had the video, but you can see.
Yeah, so Willie's old school trick is to smoke the joint and play it through his trumpet with the smoke coming out of the trumpet.
I remember seeing that move in Denver when we were
playing.
So
you don't see the smoke coming out, but in the show you do. So the guy who sees me smoking the joint, playing it through the trumpet, right? And geez, I should go get one and do it real quick. But anyway, that hit the cover. The funniest thing was the first call was my mom at Settler's house.
Oh, man.
In Laporte going, "My son is smoking marijuana."
Yeah, I almost
on national TV, and he'll never get a gig again. I come from those parents, so that was a good one, right? But that was great. But I've done a bunch of parties for those guys. Last couple of years, I was the house band at the Cannabis Cup Championships, and that was great. I do a little drum roll, third place.
Shit.
And third place winner is Joe Bobs from San Bernardino, California. Shit was funny. And being a judge, about halfway through, man, it all was good to me.
Yeah, I'm sure you don't even know what you're doing there anymore.
Hell no, man.
Shit, everybody's a winner.
Everybody's a winner, man. Give me a little bit of everything here, and then I was a squirrel and got little pieces of everything. And brought it on my canoe trip. And then I saved it to the canoe trip one year. That was funny. I saved the Cannabis Cup Championship weed for the canoe trip.
Hey, there you go. And that way you get to stare at stuff like this here.
But here's a good one. So on that Bob Weird stuff, so I met the master engineer, Joe Gastward, who did all the Dead albums, and he just finished the Jerry Garcia box set. He did Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. He did Jimi Hendrix Experience album, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. So anyway, he's super famous. And at the end of this session this weekend up at the Tool studio with John Avila, I'm going to get it mastered by Joe Gastward.
Oh, awesome.
And we get to and I got Noah bringing some of the Snoop Dogg weed. and there you go. There you go. Willie Waldman discounted, hustle here,
Yeah, I think you were talking to me about the other day when we were on the phone. We were talking about guys mastering shit, and I believe.
We can hire Snoop Dogg, Neil. It's $40K a tune.
Hey, there you go. That sounds like something.
$40K. I'll probably get a little shout out for like 15. But I'm going to hire Corrupt next week, who was in the Dog Pound for $500, and I like Daz Dillinger a lot. And let's see, we're doing a Baby Nate Dogg tune at Tommy D's, and I'm going to let the summer camp security guard Ian Goldberg's guy Mo was rapping, and let's see, I produced Midwest Hype Time record with Dave Aaron in 211. Then I messed with a little Justin Deal out there with Battle Cat and Lance Pierre, and then I got to get you. We're gonna have to do a project here now.
Yeah, for sure.
And done a couple of the, let's see, I did the Stealing the Farm record there. Last year I produced them, and I saw that kid Marcus, I think is his name. Very good little singer, right?
Yeah,
Keyboard
I think he was originally the bass player, and then he moved over, and he was good at both. So, yeah, good little band right there.
Well, he can sing, right, Neil?
Yeah.
I think he's a good singer. So I'm in business to produce and record people. We'll get Neil's up to bat now. Let's see. We're over at Jake Sininger's of Humphreys McGee, tracking a bunch of these bands. Mm-hmm. One band I did over at Jake's was Iftikhar from Green Bay last year. Jake's been great. He's basically charging $250 to do a guitar part, and we're over there at basically $80 an hour at the Humphreys McGee studio, which, with my partner Dave Aaron dying, has been awesome because he's got all these vintage Rhodes pianos. And by the way, everybody, Jake plays the hell out of keyboards, drums. It was a while before I let Jake play drums, and he's a great drummer.
Yeah.
Bass. He's like my one-stop guy now. I've had him do a couple of hip-hop tracks. I'm not kidding. He's awesome, man. And it's a great studio. And so anybody who really wants to mess with Humphreys McGee, call me, man. We got that. Mm-hmm. Or call Neil. We'll drag Neil. Call me. You can always bug Neil, too. He can be a partner in crime.
There you
go. No, the Humphreys McGee studio is a good one. And we run that on Tuesday and Wednesdays when they're off tour. Mm-hmm. Let's see, Chris Myers provided me a bunch of drum parts. I had a side band with them called North Indiana All-Stars.
Yeah, Chris just moved to Nashville, so I think he's got more of a setup now, so he might be able to even track with some folks around. And
well, he's been sending me drums if anybody wants them. Again, I'm paying everybody union scale, which is $250 to $500. Myers likes 500, but Myers has been great. Let's see, we got some drums from Jay Lane of Primus.
I saw you guys. I ran into you two in a bar in Chicago one night. You guys were just hanging out. I was like, I didn't expect to know anybody. It was like 2 a.m. All of a sudden, I hear Allesee. I look over and it's you and Jay Lane hanging out at this bar.
Yeah, I met him at Bob Weir's from those pictures you showed. He came over and we started doing bong hits. So I would say to everybody, it's always best to be a nice person to get along with people.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't really getting these cold calls to just play trumpet for 5 minutes and run,
Well, sometimes I do wonder, like the video I was watching the other day, that the one with you and your jam with Joe Satriani and Grace Potter and all that. Is that a Stephen Perkins hookup? Was he like, hey?
Well, that was us hustling backstage. We had Banyan with Kimmock, right?
Yeah.
So we had lost Nels Cline to Wilco. So one of our main Banyan lineups, and we had several, we started out with Mike Watt and then Nels Cline. Well, what happened was Mike Watt went to Iggy Pop and the Stooges, and Wilco grabbed Nels Cline right when we put out our record Perkins Palace in 2004. So I kind of replaced him, or whatever you want to call it, with Steve Kimmock. Mm-hmm. And then some with Brian Jordan and Clint. So we were playing there, and we ran into Kreutzmann backstage. So we were having the greatest hang with Bill Kreutzmann, with Perkins, and then Satriani came in, and he knew Perkins from the Jane's Addiction stuff. Mm-hmm. So we basically said, wow, we're doing, Nicky Hart wanted to sit in, but he wanted us to do Dead tunes, and Perkins wouldn't. He said we only jam.
I can't blame him there. Just based off of being a drummer, man. It's not his style.
The point with that, the real point with that is when two guys don't know it, then it's a train wreck. And we actually had 2 guys in that band that really didn't know that stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, me and Perkins did. But again, you can't go up into something like Madison Square Garden and start butchering Dead tunes or have guys learning them on stage. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So hold on. And then we're an improv band, so we're like, no. So the funny part about how this goes, and then all of a sudden, there's this beautiful Grace Potter keyboard girl, Mm-hmm. So we started talking to her. Too. Yeah, so she was really funny and fun. So she was the one that talked us into doing Cortez the Killer, because normally we don't do cover songs, period. Mm-hmm. And we don't have vocals. So in a sad way, my 400 million view video, it doesn't really represent Banyan because it's vocals in a cover tune, right? Yeah. And everybody's like, blah, blah, blah. But really, there was another 45 minutes of us slaying it with Satriani. And I had her just playing keys, right?
Mhm.
And then the last song, I let her sing one because normally we were just instrumental band. We weren't, our whole concept was to stay away from the singer, basically, And
what's funny is we jammed that spot. What is it? Quixote's True Blue or whatever it was in Denver. And that night you actually started singing something in the mic, or at least we're like we were doing something different that night.
I guess I've been doing it lately, but in those days that was super rare. Yeah, I've done that. It's scary. Anybody see me do it, it's scary. And if I rap, I'm going to get locked up, man. So you might
have been rapping that night. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good one then. So yeah, I'll cop to those, but then it's about murders and God only knows what. So that comes from the Snoop Dogg stuff. You know what I mean? Shoot 'em up, bang bang. But generally, we weren't getting it a vote, but. It was a killer jam, and Satriani was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I still like to get my hands on the other 45 minutes.
Yeah, no doubt.
But she is a fantastic singer and a great vocalist, but funny. But that was one of the few times, at least in those days, we did a vocal. Actually, Mike Watt would do a Iggy Pop. What was it? Hell Ride. I forget the name of it. There was one tune maybe Watt would sing, TVI or something, but in general, not too much vocals.
Well, hey, if you had one guy or one band that you could have jammed with that you haven't jammed with, who would it be?
Jerry Garcia.
Jerry Garcia?
That or Coltrane or Miles.
Okay.
But yeah, Jerry, that would be the one because I got all the dead guys under my belt but him.
And who have you jammed with out of all the people that you've jammed with? Who was your favorite person to jam with? Is it all a little different? Or was there one?
Satriani was up in the best of them.
Is somebody that you just clicked with immediately where it's like, damn.
Satriani was one of them. That guy was great.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to hire him in the future, but he wanted $20K, and that was over our head.
Yeah.
I did. I called his manager, and I was like, Perkins, I can't take that on because we were managing I was booking all the gigs, basically the manager, because nobody manages being improv.
Yeah.
I don't know. Nels Cline's pretty badass. I like Nels Cline. I've had a couple, but he was awful good. I bonded with some guitar players usually. I love Perkins and some of my drummers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got about 10, I would really say. It's hard to just narrow it down to one.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? How's that? It's hard to do that. Out of the 10, I would say Tony Franklin bass, Avila bass, Wasserman, then the drum department, Tony Austin, Perkins, John Molo, I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
The guitar department, Clint Wagner, Brian Jordan, Satriani. I mean, Kimmock was all right, but he wasn't really, he was kind of common. Nels Cline was weird. He definitely was weird and different.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. I don't want to get into that too much. I like everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what's cool about going and checking you out. It's a different sound and different jammers.
It's bad to get into all that because, like, Andy Miller and Mark Grunhoff or the Big Woo are some of my favorites. So again, let's back up here.
Yeah,
there's some local guys I've really enjoyed. There's some guys in Minneapolis in the Big Woo band that are awful good. I love Vinny and Chuck Mo.
Yeah. I saw you guys. You jammed with them last year, I think.
Actually, I really like Vinny Amico.
Yeah, he's
and
cool.
Chuck Mo, man. So let's see. I got a couple. There's a guy. There's some local guys. There's a guy named Corey Kurtzy of Buffalo. Vinny Amico's buddy on drums. I absolutely love. So let's not just pin it down to the big name guys.
Yeah,
you know what
absolutely.
I'm saying? A lot of times that's overrated. There's some great guys. You and George are really good songwriters.
I
You guys
appreciate
are
it, man.
doing
Really
really good. I mean, we've got some really good musicians just up here in North Indiana.
We do.
We've got Marcinek. We've got all the Humphreys guys. Don't let them tell you they're from Chicago. They're all from North Indiana. Right? We've got the Fresh Hops guys. We got you, Allesee. We've got George and the Midwest Hype, right?
Freak Johnson, Buddy Pearson, and
the Buddy Pearson. Marco, dude, Marco's sick.
Yeah.
Boy, now there you go. I almost forgot about Marco. He's sick.
Yeah, all those guys
we've got
are really good.
Great play. God, I'm sorry you thought. One of the best cheap records I ever put together. And it's not because it's cheap. Marco had $2,000, so I'm like, okay. I got Tony Austin and Tony Franklin.
Yeah, I've heard some of that album.
2 days in L.A. And Marco is a genius. You know, he comes out with these crazy charts of 5/4 one measure, 3/8. Dude, it took me 10 takes to come in on my little part just to find where I was supposed to come in. These guys sight read this thing down and track this thing in 4 hours. You know what I mean? Super complex, right? I was impressed. I think, Rich, were you out there for that one? I think you were. You came out that way on one of those.
For when Midwest Hype was recorded.
All right, you were on the Midwest Hype, which was good. Yeah. Anyway, we knocked that thing out in 2 days. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then I did the time record for Midwest Hype, which I think I had them out for a week, and we had basically 24/7 band camp. It was awesome, you know.
yeah, for sure.
You know, but again, it's hard for all you guys because you got guys with jobs, and they just not everybody can just go jump in the van and.
Yeah, that's been the big issue with any big band or anybody that's trying to jam with other than themselves, you know. But
it's hard, man. You know, I've seen the money shrink. We all do it for we love it, you know.
Yeah.
I try to play around here, but they don't like my jazz fusion too much, you know. It's all right. You know, I get Leroy puts up with it.
You do there.
No, Leroy puts up with it, and I get oh, this Kofi Baker guy is real good for the neighborhood.
Yeah, Marco's been jamming with him recently.
I played a couple times with him. His dad was the famous drummer in Cream.
Yeah, Ginger Baker's kid.
Yeah. So and we had Buddy Pearson, who's awful good.
Hey, Buddy's actually going to be on the show on Wednesday. I'm having him on. We'll be talking, and he's going to be showing what he does at home with his little jams and loops and shit.
Dude, he's the king of South Bend, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just moved to South Bend.
World champ. Me, Snoop Dogg, he's the undisputed world champ of South Bend.
I'll tell him you said that.
Yeah, tell him I said that. Shit. South Bend All-Stars coming here to mess with us. Riley over there, right? South Bend Riley, man, you know?
Hell yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate you guys doing this, and Rich, especially for taking the time out and coming out and doing this. Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
No, I think we covered it. Everybody just have a good time playing music and don't make too big a deal out of anything. And a lot of people care too much. That was one of my lessons from the Coltrane Masters. Don't think, don't care. Like Bob Weir says, have a good time. If you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. Just keep practicing and having fun.
Hell yeah, man.
And all musics are good.
Hell yeah. You know. I couldn't have said it any better myself.
All right.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it. Willie, thanks a lot for doing this.
Hey, Willie.
Hell of a time.
LP All-Star.
Yeah.